Welcome to Dreamy Sleep Tales, where every whisper of moonlight carries you into a world of gentle wonder. Tonight's story, The House That Waited for the Moon, will guide you through starlit forests, secret lantern-lit paths, and the soft magic of forgotten wishes. Before we begin, make yourself as cozy as you can. Slip on your headphones, lie back in a peaceful spot, and let the soothing glow of the moonlight calm your mind. Ready your dreams and prepare to believe, for in just a moment, we'll step together into a realm where hope blooms beneath twin moons. Sweet dreams await. Let's begin. Marin pressed her small lantern against her chest as she stepped softly onto the riverbank's mossy edge. The forest around her was alive with shadows. Curling mist wove through ancient roots, and gnarled branches arched overhead like curious fingers. Beyond, the water shimmered with moonbeams, bright silver ribbons rippling beneath a perfectly round full moon. Tonight was Marin's 12th birthday, and she felt a peculiar flutter of excitement mixed with nostalgia. For years, ever since her grandmother first whispered the tale, Marin had come to the same spot each full moon, leaving a single candle at the water's edge and waiting. But tonight something felt different, as if the forest itself held its breath. Her grandmother's voice echoed in Marin's memory. The house that waited for the moon only appears to those who believe. Never doubt, Marin, and it shall open its door. Marin's heart pounded. She had never seen the fabled cottage herself, only glimpsed its amber windows flickering in her dreams. Tonight, the lantern she carried glowed warmer than any before, as though urging her onward. She knelt beside the candle she'd lit on a flat stone. Its flame danced and stretched, casting bright reflections across the river. Marin whispered a quiet wish, one she had whispered each month since she'd learned to speak. Tonight, she whispered it again, for courage. Please let me see the house. As her words faded, the river's surface glowed with a second moonrise, an impossible sight. Two moons beamed side by side, the real one overhead and its twin mirrored in the water, shining with a soft golden hue. At that moment, Marin felt a tug at her elbow, gentle yet insistent. She turned to see an ethereal fox, fur brushed with starlight. its eyes glowing like tiny lanterns. It bowed its head, then trotted toward a narrow plank of wood tucked between the banks. The fox's tail flicked toward the opposite shore, inviting her to cross. Marin's pulse quickened. She steadied her lantern and stepped onto the plank, feeling it sway beneath her. Each footfall made the water ripple, carrying the reflection of the twin moon with it. As she reached the middle, the river whispered a hushed melody, like lullabies sung in a language older than time. With a deep breath, Marin pressed on until she reached the far side. There, nestled between two towering trees whose roots intertwined like lovers' arms, stood the house that waited for the moon. It was smaller than she'd imagined, just enough room for a single visitor, but every plank and window frame glowed warmly, as if welcoming her home. The fox sat at the threshold, tail curled neatly around its paws. Marin lifted her lantern, and the cottage door gave a soft creak, swinging open just wide enough for her to slip inside. And as she crossed the threshold, the door closed behind her on its own, leaving her heart humming with wonder, and perhaps just a hint of trepidation at what lay ahead. Marin's lantern cast gentle shadows on the cottage's wooden walls, revealing shelves lined with tiny glass vials and woven baskets brimming with silken threads. Each thread glowed with a soft light, some pastel, some bright, drifting lazily as though alive. The air smelled of warm cedar and faint honeysuckle, lulling Marin's racing heart into a curious calm. At a small round table in the center of the room sat an elderly figure draped in twilight blue robes. The keeper of forgotten wishes looked up, their face framed by moonlit silver hair and eyes that held a galaxy's worth of starlight. In their gnarled hands, they held a delicate spindle, winding a shimmering thread that pulsed with every turn. "Welcome, Marin," the keeper said in a voice like distant bells. "I have awaited you." Marin swallowed, lantern trembling in her hand. "Yea, you know my name?" The keeper smiled, a crease of kindness around their eyes. "Every wish spoken under the full moon, I collect. Your grandmother's wish, your mother's, perhaps even your own childhood hopes. But tonight, the threads grow dull. Dreams forgotten long ago slip away, and my spindle falters. Marin stepped closer, her eyes wide with wonder. What can I do? The keeper laid a trembling hand upon Marin's shoulder. Believe in the power of hope. Each person's pure belief, no matter how small, rekindles the light within a thread. Help me spin dreams anew. At that moment, the fox padded forward and retrieved a single pale green thread from a basket. Marin knelt to lift it. Within its glow flickered the memory of a young baker who once dreamed of crafting the world's sweetest honey loaf, but gave up when doubt crept in. Marin's heart warmed. She gently wound the thread around her finger, and the glow brightened. Feel its story, whispered the keeper, and remember your own dreams too. Marin closed her eyes. She recalled the night she first heard the river's song, the thrill of venturing here, the wish she made each month. That magic might yet be alive. A spark blossomed in her chest, and the thread blazed emerald bright. She wove it through her fingers, and as she did, the keeper's spindle glowed again, spinning a brand new length of radiant silk. Beautiful, the keeper sighed, guiding the new thread onto the spindle. See how belief breathes life into hope. Marin beamed. Encouraged, she reached for another basket. This one holding violet threads. The closest thread glimmered with the story of a seamstress who let go of her needle, convinced she'd never create beauty. Marin touched it, recalling her grandmother's quilts, each stitch a testament to love. Warmth flowed through her, and the thread shone like twilight flowers. Again the keeper spun, and again the thread found its place among hundreds of others now swirling with renewed light. Outside, the moon drifted past its zenith, yet inside the cottage, time felt suspended. Marin wove and the keeper spun until baskets emptied and the hearth's embers glowed gently in thanks. When the final thread was wound, the keeper rose, leaning heavily on a carved staff of twisted wood. You have done well, child of belief, but one last wish remains. Yours. Marin's breath caught. She had come here to help others' dreams, but now the cottage waited to heal her own. With steady resolve, She placed her lantern on the table and prepared to share the wish she had long held secret. Marin's heart fluttered as she stood before the keeper. The cottage felt hushed in reverence. The glass vials on the shelves shimmered like captured fireflies, each one holding a forgotten wish. Marin reached out, her fingers brushing the cool glass as memories of her grandmother's stories swirled in her mind. I made a wish every full moon, Marin began softly, but I never believed I'd come here. My wish, it's that one day my family will heal. My mother's smile returns after grandma passed, and my father's laugh fills our home again. Silence settled, as though the cottage itself held its breath. Then gently, the keeper placed a hand on Marin's. A wish born of love is the strongest of all. From a high shelf, the keeper lifted a small vial with a pale, shimmering thread coiled inside. The glass glowed warmly. This thread holds the essence of your wish, the keeper explained. To reweave your family's joy, you must speak your hope aloud. Marin's voice trembled but rang clear. I wish for our home to be filled with laughter and light once more. As her words echoed, the thread unfurled, spilling silver blue luminescence that wound itself through the air, weaving around the keeper's spindle and then spiraling outward, threading itself into each resurrected wish in the cottage. Suddenly, the walls pulsed. A warm breeze stirred the lantern's flame. Outside, the river's reflection rippled, and the two moons shimmered in harmony. Marin felt warmth at her back, like an embrace, as if her grandmother's spirit smiled upon her courage. The keeper nodded, tears of stardust in their eyes. Your wish joins the tapestry of hope. Now, you must carry this light back with you. Marin felt the cottage door sway open. The fox padded forward, nuzzling her hand gently before turning toward the plank bridge. Marin lifted her lantern and crossed back. The renewed threads of the spindle glowing faintly through the trees. On the far shore, Marin paused. The single moon above and its golden reflection below seemed to pulse as one. At her feet lay a pale blue silken thread, softly shining. She picked it up, the gift of the keeper, a reminder that belief could heal any broken heart. Marin tucked the thread inside her coat, the lamp's flame reflecting her brightening spirit. As she turned away, a whisper drifted on the night breeze. Carry hope wherever you go. She smiled into the dark woods, her footsteps light. The ancient trees bowed their branches in farewell, and the river hummed a lullaby. Marin's home was just beyond the twisted trees. She hurried toward it, heart full, ready to share laughter and light once more with her family. In her pocket, the blue thread glowed softly, a promise that as long as she believed, the house that waited for the moon would always be with her. And that night, for the first time in a long while, Marin's mother and father laughed together beneath a silver moon, the music of hope, flowing as gently as the river itself. Marin's footsteps crunched softly along the leaf-carpeted path as she made her way home through the moonlit woods. The pale blue thread nestled against her heart, pulsing with gentle warmth. Every rustle of wind through the branches seemed to carry a promise. Hope could spread like ripples across still water. Halfway home, Marin paused at a clearing where an old lantern post stood, its flame long since extinguished. In happier times, her grandmother had stopped here each evening to light the lamp for travelers. Tonight, Marin knelt and tied one end of the glowing thread around the cold lantern's hook. The moment she did, the thread unfurled, weaving itself into the lamp's glass, and a soft blue light ignited inside. Marin allowed herself a hopeful smile. "For Grandma," she whispered. Further along the path, she passed the village bakery, where a thin wisp of smoke curled from the chimney. Inside, the baker was cleaning her counters in the dim after-hours glow. The sweet oak scent of dough lingered in the air, a reminder of the wish Marin rekindled earlier. Marin hesitated, then stretched the blue thread between her fingertips and tapped on the window. The baker startled, then saw the thread glowing in the gloom. Curious, she opened the door, and Marin gently looped the thread around the handle. The thread pulsed once, and the bakery's ovens glowed to life, filling the shop with a warm, yeasty aroma. The baker laughed, eyes bright. "A gift from the night?" she said, and placed a warm roll into Marin's hand. Marin nodded, thanking her softly, and continued on her way. Ahead, an old bridge spanned a narrow stream. The wooden planks were worn, and the lanterns that once lined its rail had long since fallen. As Marin stepped onto the first plank, she noticed the beam of her lantern reflected beneath the water, still rippling with two moons. Smiling, Marin untangled a length of blue thread from her coat and wound it around the broken lantern bracket. Immediately the lantern flickered on, casting golden light across the river's surface. The bridge sighed with renewal, and Marin crossed safely, feeling the warmth of each new light guiding her, until at last she reached the cottage at the forest's edge, where her parents waited, silhouetted against the window's glow. Her mother's shoulders were slumped, and her father's eyes were weary. But as Marin approached, their faces softened with recognition and relief. Marin held out her lantern. "Look," she said quietly, stepping closer. Her parents saw the trail of pale blue thread connecting the cottage door to the oven-bright bakery, the lantern post in the clearing, and the bridge's golden light. Each spark of hope felt alive in their hearts. Her mother's lips curved into a gentle smile, and her father reached to tousle Marin's hair. "In Grandma's memory," Marin whispered, touching the thread at their feet. Together, they followed the luminous path, first to the bridge where the lantern glowed against the night, then through the clearing to the old post still burning bright, and onward to the bakery's open doors. With each step, the family's laughter began to rise, timid at first, then wholehearted, echoing through the forest like a blooming melody. That night, the cottage glowed not only from its windows, but from within their hearts. As Marin curled beneath her quilt, stitched with moonlit patterns, she drifted to sleep knowing that belief, once kindled, would forever light their way. The next morning, dawn crept into the sky in soft rose and lavender shades, transforming the forest into a pastel dreamscape. Marin awoke to the gentle song of birds and the distant murmur of the river. She stretched beneath her quilt of moonlit patterns, the pale blue thread still resting on her bedside table, like a promise yet to be fulfilled. Ready for a new day, Marin slipped outside. She found the path she had lit the night before, still aglow in soft blue and gold. The bridge's lantern still burned. The clearing's lamppost shone bright, and even the bakery's windows glistened with morning light. The little cottage she called home was warm, its door ajar as though inviting her back inside to linger. But Marin had a new idea. She tied one end of the pale blue thread to her belt and set out through the village, determined to share hope beyond her family. With each door she passed, she left a loop of thread on the weaver's gate so the loom could sing once more, on the schoolhouse latch so children would learn with eager hearts, on the tailor's workbench so fabric would dance beneath nimble fingers. Each villager she met paused in wonder. The baker offered her a roll for the journey. The weaver held her hand in grateful thanks, and the teacher winked at Marin as children darted around her, eyes shining with excitement. Word spread quickly that a trail of lantern light shimmered from home to the forest's edge, marking a path of revived dreams. When Marin reached the old oak in the village square, she found her friends gathered there, faces curious and bright. They pointed to dozens of threads, each tied to a bench or garden gate, looping in soft hues of lavender or pale green. "What's happening?" asked her friend Rowan, voice full of wonder. Marin smiled and held up the pale blue thread. "Last night I met the keeper of forgotten wishes," she explained. "We rekindled the threads of dreams that had grown dim. I wanted everyone to feel how powerful hope can be. So I lit lanterns and left these threads to guide you." A hush fell as the villagers considered her words. Then Rowan grinned and tugged on a pale green thread. "I used to dream of being a painter," they admitted. "Maybe it's time to pick up my brushes again." Around them, the threads seemed to hum, and the lanterns sparked to life in crisp morning air. Laughter and chatter filled the square as more villagers discovered the lights and threads, some at doorsteps, others beneath windowsills. It was as though the entire town had awoken to a new possibility. Marin felt a warm glow in her chest, brighter even than the morning sun filtering through the trees. Her secret wish had not only healed her home, but had grown into a tapestry of hope for all who believed. As the villagers celebrated, Marin looked toward the forest. The mossy path she had walked by lantern light the night before lay silent, but she sensed the keeper's presence, offering a ripple of approval. In that moment, Marin understood. Belief was not a solitary gift but a shared light, growing ever brighter when passed from one heart to another. With that thought, Marin gathered her friends and family, thread and lantern in hand, and led them to the riverbank, where 2 moons would rise again. Together, they would whisper their renewed dreams into the night, ensuring that hope would forever flow through the heart of their village. As dusk settled like a velvet blanket over the forest, the villagers gathered once more at the riverbank. Lanterns swung gently from branches, their glow mirrored by the 2 moons shining in perfect harmony above. Marin stood at the water's edge, her pale blue thread looped around her wrist like a bracelet of light. Her mother and father stood beside her, eyes bright with anticipation. Friends and neighbors formed a loose circle, each holding a lantern and a length of glowing thread in soft hues: lavender, green, pink, and gold. The air was still, as if the world itself leaned in to listen. Marin raised her lantern high. "Remember," she said softly, "every whispered wish we spoke last night and every dream we've shared today flows into these threads. Tonight, we send them back to the keeper so hope may never fade." One by one, the villagers stepped forward. Rowan, with a lavender thread, knelt to tie it to a low branch, murmuring, "I promise to paint again." The teacher with light green tied theirs, whispering, "I promise to inspire young minds." The baker, the weaver, even the old blacksmith, all offered vows to create, to forgive, to love, to remember what once made their hearts soar. When the final promise was spoken, Marin lifted her thread and whispered her own vow. "I promise to believe always." She tied the pale blue loop high on a slender willow, where it caught both moonbeams and lantern light, glowing brighter than any other. Suddenly, a breeze stirred, ruffling leaves and lifting threads in a gentle dance. The air filled with soft chiming, the same melody the river had sung, and the lanterns flickered in unison. Above, the 2 moons pulsed as if in reply, casting rippling light across the water. At that moment, the keeper of forgotten wishes emerged from the shadows at the forest's edge, their silhouette framed by dancing lantern light. They nodded to Marin and the villagers, voice echoing through the clearing. Your promises have woven a new tapestry of hope. As long as belief endures, dreams shall never be lost. The keeper raised a slender hand, and the glowing threads lifted from their branches, floating like ribbons of moonlight. They drifted gently toward the river, trailing soft luminescence upon the surface. One by one, threads entered the water and were carried away in a silver current beneath the twin moons. Marin watched until the last thread slipped into the river's embrace. The keeper approached her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. Your courage and kindness rekindle the light in many hearts. Never forget that hope, once shared, multiplies. With that, the keeper faded into moonlit mist, leaving only the echo of their words and the soft glow of lanterns swaying in the trees. The villagers stood quietly, hearts brimming, feeling the power of their collective promise. As Marin gathered her friends and family to walk home, she glanced back at the river. The surface was calm once more, reflecting a single, steadfast moon. Its twin merged into a stronger whole. Marin smiled, knowing that hope had returned to her village, woven into every heart. And though the magic of the night would settle into peaceful memories, the promise beneath the twin moons would live on, guiding each soul through dark forests and moonlit paths for generations to come. Marin awoke to the soft glow of morning sun filtering through her window. Gone were the lanterns along the path. Only birdsong and the gentle murmur of the river remained. She reached for the pale blue thread on her bedside table and smiled. The promise she had made still warmed her heart. At breakfast, Marin watched as her parents exchanged a look of quiet contentment. Her mother hummed while kneading dough, and her father whistled softly as he brewed tea. The bakery in the village square now opened earlier, its ovens warm and welcoming long before dawn. Everywhere she looked, Marin saw the ripple of last night's magic in small, everyday moments. After breakfast, Marin slipped outside, following the path down to the riverbank. She paused where the lantern post once stood, noticing wild flowers now pushing through the leaf litter, their blossoms unfolding in the fresh light. She knelt and tied a short length of the blue thread to a slender willow sapling by the water's edge. A final act of remembrance and gratitude. The thread caught the sunlight and gleamed like a beacon of hope. Marin closed her eyes and let the sounds of the morning wash over her. The rustle of leaves, the laughter of children playing nearby, the steady flow of water over smooth stones. In her mind, she heard the keeper's voice once more. Belief is a light that never dims, so long as it is shared. With that, Mara rose and walked back toward the village. Along the way, she stopped at each home where she had tied a thread the night before. Though the threads were gone, she found renewed confidence in the faces she met. Smiles that reached their eyes, shoulders unburdened, and greetings warmed by genuine kindness. Each person carried forward the promise they had spoken. Before returning home, Mara paused atop the old wooden bridge. She gazed down at the river, now calm and clear. Leaning over the rail, she whispered a simple wish. May hope continue to flow through every heart. As if in answer, a gentle breeze stirred the willows, and a single petal drifted onto the water's surface, carried downstream toward horizons unknown. Marin watched until it disappeared, then tucked the pale blue thread safely into her coat pocket. A reminder that the keeper's gift lived on within her. That evening, as the moon rose full and bright, Marin settled at the riverbank with her lantern, just as she had every month. But this time, she did not wait to be called. She raised her lantern high and spoke softly. I believe. Above her, the moon shone steady and sure. Its reflection rippled across the water, ripples of light that would carry her faith wherever they traveled. And in that luminous moment, Marin understood that the house that waited for the moon would forever stand in every heart that dared to hope. And that brings us to the end of The House That Waited for the Moon. If this voyage beneath twin moons filled your heart with warmth, please give this video a like. And if you're new here, hit subscribe to join our Dreamy Sleep Tales family. Don't forget to share this story with friends who cherish a little moonlight magic. And drop a comment below to let me know how you felt as Marin rekindled hope in her village. Sweet dreams, and until next time, May your nights be filled with gentle wonders. Good night.